Are you looking for some more designs for your Sashiko patterns? In this video I have 2 designs in one for you. Today I'm making another square for my shibori dyed design from my antique Japanese quilt that I liked so much. It's going to be another circle. Well, they're pretty much all going to be circles. It's going to be another circle, and I've drawn a design that I'm going to use on this. This is kind of what it's going to look like. At the moment, though, I've just drawn an outline of it, and that's what I'm going to use as a guide to put this on here. So I'm going to place these fairly close to the edge and just draw around them. And at the moment, I'm going to put them as a clock at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock in those positions. Then I will have to decide what to put in between. So first I'm just going to draw these on, just using my ceramic pencil, and I've already drawn a circle outline around them. I just drew these flower shapes. I'm not really quite sure just what kind of flowers they're supposed to be. Look a little bit like ginseng, I suppose, but they're just a freehand draw. And I know you've heard me say before that I don't like to draw. This pattern, I'm going to use it on another block as well. And in that one, I'm just going to do some machine applique. That's kind of what it was like in the original that I liked. And then I'll do some Sashiko on top of that, which is one of the things that I just really like to do. So those are all marked on there. And now I'm going to just follow the lines here and just hand draw in these extra lines. Now these may not be identical when I've finished, and if they're not, that's really okay. Flowers aren't identical in real life, so I'm just going to work my way around and go ahead and draw in all these flowers. Right. Now, I know those outlines aren't very bright, so I'm not sure if you'll be able to see them very well, but those are where I'm going to start. So, got my thimble, got my needle, just starting with a knot. And I'm going to go ahead and do the outside circle first. When I do the ones with the applique, I'm not sure if I'm going to position them in exactly the same way. I might do it just a little bit different, but I'm definitely going to use the same flower shapes. And I've also been trying to think what colour I should do. And I don't really want to move away from the blue and white idea. So I'm considering just doing a different blue, maybe just a different blue that's already within this pack of matched colours, because I'll have enough fabric squares for the quilt and have some left over where I can do that. I'm just loading all my stitches onto the needle, trying to keep the sizes nice and even. Push through with my thimble, pull them through. And then tension control. I don't have to pull too firmly there because a lot of this fabric is on the cross going around a circle like that. So if I do happen to pull too hard, I can always just tug on this thread and pull some of it tighter again, and then maybe do a little bit gentler stroke with my thumb. Okay, it's got around my circle, and now I'm going to do this first little flower. Because I want to come up at this point and not in the middle of a curved line, I'm going to carry this a little bit further. So for this one, I am going to do a double stitch. So I'm just going to do a small stitch and then a little bigger stitch over it. It may show a little bit, but once the whole thing is finished, it won't be very noticeable. And that's just so that if this was to get caught in any way, it wouldn't pull that thread and, you know, make a big loop of thread come out of my Sashiko. So it's a kind of an oversew stitch, just to help it stay in place. And of course I can't do as many stitches here because this is a deeper curve. I'm getting along with this Sashiko. I've just got one more area here to do the Sashiko on. I've been trying to decide whether it needs more than this, but I think it's okay. I did put some little extra not stems, that's not the right word. Anyway, some extra little marks in between the petals to make it look a little bit more decorated. I'm going to use this pattern on another square, but I'm going to do some applique this time. So I'll just put that to one side and I'll finish it in a little bit, and I'll just show you what I'm going to do here with this. So I'm going to use a dark fabric as a background. I'm going to cut that same shape out. I'm going to applique it on here, machine applique, and then I'm going to do some Sashiko over it. So I was looking, I wanted a lighter colour, and I thought about that, but actually I kind of like this denim colour against it. And soon as I'm going to do the Sashiko in white, I think it'll show up better if I do it on this little bit darker colour, and I think that'll look okay. So I'm just going to put that piece to one side, and I have here some fusible webbing. This is the Heat and Bond. I use this one quite a lot as well. It's featherweight, so it's very light. And I'm just going to turn that over, and on the back I'm going to draw my shape. So when you do machine applique, you do have to remember that whatever you draw on this side will be in reverse. So if I draw it this way round, when I put it onto the fabric, it'll be that way round. So really in this case, it doesn't matter. I don't actually care which way round these face, but I am going to do them all in the same direction is all. I'm just going to draw a quick outline on this. Alright, so I'm just going to take my paper scissors and cut those. And I'm not cutting them directly on the pencil line. I'll save that for when I cut them out on the fabric. So whatever fusible you use, just remember to read the manufacturer's instructions, because some take a different length of time that you would put the iron on there to fuse them together. So you just have to see what it says. And I'm placing this on the back of the fabric, and I'm just going to put my iron on there and fuse them on there. Once I get this hot iron on here, it won't blow off anymore. I'm just going to hold that on for about 5 seconds for this particular webbing. I just need to give that a minute to cool off, and then I'll cut those shapes out. Okay, so I'll put those to one side, and I'll put my back piece out of reach. Alright, so I just have to decide where I want to lay these now. I think they show up enough on there to what I want. And not really very circular, but I think I'm kind of going to do that kind of arrangement. Yeah, I like that. So I just got to peel this sticky stuff off the back. So really this is just the same pattern, just done in a different way. And actually it still is a little bit circular. Move that one down just a little bit. Yeah, okay. So now I'm just going to put my iron on there, make sure they stick. So I'm going to take these over now to my sewing machine and do some machine applique on them. I'm going to find some thread that matches the this lighter blue colour, and I think I've got some in my box. So I've loaded this machine up with some blue thread, some matching blue thread. On the bobbin underneath, I've also put the same blue. I could have put navy blue, either would really have been okay, but I'm just using the pale blue. I'm going to set my machine up to do, it's a kind of an overlock stitch. I'm going to make it a little bit wider than the machine says to do it. If you're not sure, you can always try it on a little sample and make sure it looks like it'll work for you. So this particular stitch kind of imitates a small blanket stitch. I have some on a spare piece of fabric here that I can show you. So this is the, get it in focus, this is the stitch that I'm going to do. So the stem that goes down will be on the pale blue, and the edging stitch will be right on the border of where I'm sewing. And I really enjoy machine applique, actually. I've got a big wide foot on here, so I have to keep my fingers out of the way. And that's because I need to see the needle. I want to see where the needle is going down into the fabric. And I'm just going to start, I think I'll start at the stem. That looks like a pretty good place to start. If you've not done this before, you want to try it out on a machine, and you want to try it out on a spare piece of fabric so that you can see exactly where your foot needs to be when you're going to start sewing. So if you've got it too far this way, the stitches will be in the wrong place, and it's a trial and error thing. Once you realize where your stitch needs to start, then when you start on your actual project, it'll work out better than trying to guess once you've got started here. So I'm going to hold this lightly and just start sewing quite slowly. And you know, I go quite slowly because this isn't a race, and you want your stitches to fall in the right place. And if you get in too much of a hurry, you can get offline and not get such a good result. go around the curves, I just stop and turn it a little bit. And this is not hard at all. It's just one of those things that as you practice a little bit more, you just get a little bit better at it. So this is not my Juki that I like so much to do all my sewing on, because that one only does a straight stitch. This one is, it is a Juki, but it's one that I bought specifically because I needed one that I could do a zigzag on or a stitch like this for my machine applique. Occasionally I do make clothes, but it's quite rare. The other Juki just about handles everything I want to do. And I just get this one out when I need it. That's just my little finishing stitch and cut it. Okay, so there's that first. Oh, that didn't cut for some reason. Let me just. There we go. That's the first one there. So I'll go ahead and finish those 3. And when I've done that, then I'm going to go ahead and do some Sashiko on here as well. So I've got all the applique done on this now. Each piece, you can see all the little blue sewing around the edge that's going to hold that in place, as well as the fusible that's underneath it. It does make it slightly thicker, so I may have to do a few less stitches at a time, but these are just short areas to do Sashiko on anyway. I've actually drawn the lines in blue. That way, if they do come back because of the cold, as people say they do sometimes, because I have used an iron-off pen, they won't be very visible. And all the markings are just to show these petal lines on there. And that's the Sashiko that I'm going to do on there. And then I'm going to do an outline in Sashiko white around it. And I'm not going to do that on camera because it's just the same as the Sashiko that I did on the others. Just finishing the last few stitches here of this last pattern that I've done. This is the one with the machine applique here, and I'm just doing these last stitches around the very edge of the little flower that I've put on. So I like that. That's a kind of a denim-y colour, that blue fabric on there, light denim. I think that when it's in with the rest of it, I'm going to make this an ombre quilt, so there'll be lots of shades of blue here in this. So I hope you try this pattern. This is the other one that I did, all completed. Both just need a little bit of a press. I like both designs, both that one and the one with the machine applique on there. I'm probably not going to do many like this. Mostly it's going to be just the Sashiko on its own. But I think I told you earlier that this is from a piece of shibori dyed fabric that I really like. That's what inspired me to make this, and it is in ombre squares. And so I'm taking that idea. So just get that off, and that's finished. So I'm going to put that on my pile of finished squares now. It's going to take quite a long time, this quilt, but that's okay. Sometimes things take a while, and it's worth it. So if you've liked this, please like and subscribe, and I'll have more videos, more patterns for this quilt, and all kinds of different Sashiko things. Thanks for watching. Bye.